Everyone, my name is Ranesh Chandra, and I'd like to present my PowerPoint. The topic of my presentation is on human development, a lifespan approach, and Erickson's psychological theory. Moving on to the next slide, which is what is human development. I'd like to describe what human development means. Like human development describes how an individual learn things and adapt to it from their early age to adulthood. It is also meant that it is a process of increasing humans' well-being and giving them more privilege and possibilities. It is the method of changes that happens into a person's life as they mature. It is also about the understanding of the psychological, emotional, cognitive, social, and emotional changes that sometimes individuals experiences from conception to expiration. The study of human development is so vital because it teaches us the practical things on what to do as we mature from young generation to an adult, as I have mentioned it earlier in the first point. The entire presentation is based on the theory that best describes human development in the socio-cultural context. It will contain creative graphical depictions and how it is relatable to the socio-cultural context, which means that how it's relatable to the society or the culture, to the culture where I belong to. The theorist which will be discussed throughout the presentation will be on Erik Erikson, who is the psychological theory. Moving on to the next slide, which is slide 3. Erickson's psychological theory, the theory that best represents the view of lifespan development, is the theorist Erik Erikson, who is a psychological theory. He explains that learning and adapting to uh, new things at all stages of development makes the development commending, which means that learning and adapting to different things from different stages makes the life more favorable. Those learning helps the small ones to grow up into a successful and a contributing person of a society. There are psychological conflicts that must prevail over in order for small ones to be a healthy person and as a maintained adult. It is relatable to the socio-cultural context because there are small ones in my society who grow up learning many skills at each different stages, and they got out up to it. By those learning, they become a successful person in their life because they already have some ideas from the childhood age in order to be a successful person from learning from the different stages of development. One of the contribution by theorist Erikson, according to him, lifespan development are considered to grandfathers. He explained that the progress taking place across the lifespan identifies the obstacles, means the problems taking off as an individual biologically develops. These changes shows new obstacle which is recognized as psychological development. He says that there are a total of 8 stages of psychological development, which is associated with different struggles at different ages. I mean to say at different age stages. Moving on to the next slide, which is slide 4. As you can see, the heading is Erickson's 8 stages of psychological development. Now, I would like to discuss these 8 stages of psychological development of an individual who from the birth till the death. The first stage is trust versus mistrust. It begins when a person is born till individual stands 18 months. It is when a small one expands confidence level towards their caregivers if the caregiver is reliable and is friendly towards the babies. And then that's the time when the child will uh, have some confidence towards their caregivers. And if this caregivers is not much reliable, then it's obvious that children will not have confidence level towards their caregivers. Moving on to the next stage, which is autonomy versus shame or doubt, it begins from the 18 months till when a child turns 3 years. That's the stage when the children learn on what they can control and what they cannot control, believing that their surrounding is danger free. Whereas if the caregiver fail to show the care towards the child might mistrust towards the caregivers. As a result, they will feel distressed and will not be comfortable with them. As I have mentioned it earlier in the stage 1, that if the caregiver is not friendly or is not reliable towards the child, then the child will not be so happy to be surrounded within that environment where the caregiver is being, where the caregiver he or she is. So it is must that the caregiver needs to give some time and some care towards the baby so that the child can have some confidence level towards that caregiver. Autonomy versus control, they will feel more cozy making choices like they will feel comfortable in making choices. Achieving the autonomy makes feel competent and equipped to run their lives. If children are criticized more often, then they may feel shy. This can even lead to lack confidence in the children. The next stage is initiative versus guilt. This begins from when the child turns 3 years to 6 years. Children learn to be individualistic, means children learn to be independent by taking initiative. They are like by taking action, they can start to think for themselves. If the caregivers they put individualistic activities mean independent activities, then it is must that young ones may feel regret. So, as I have moved on to the next slide, which is slide 5, let's see what does sl- uh, stage 4 tells us. It tells that in industry versus inferiority, it starts when a child turns 6 years and it ends at 12 years. Small ones learn correct things by looking at other students and by going to school, and also they start comparing themselves with their peers. At this stage, if uh, 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 they get an understanding of industry, and if children obtains unfavorable comments upon presenting their skills, they might think that the efforts are not being valued. It simply means like that's the stage when children learn from other students, other children around them, by if any one of them have a better skill in doing something, then the other child who is learning will obviously try doing that, so that if he or she might present it to their parents or to their teachers, then it's their responsibility, the teachers or parents' responsibility, to appreciate them. And if they do not appreciate them, then the child may feel that their efforts are not being appreciated, and they will just like and they will not be happy. So moving on to the next one, which is identity versus role confusion. It starts when a child uh, is when the child turns 12 and it ends at 18 years. At this stage, adolescence occurs and it develops positive sense of relationship within others. Adolescence is most crucial, a vital thing in this step, because this is the time when children will think about their career path, families, and housing. Also, they have learned the roles as what they will occupy as adult when they will grow up. Fifth slide, that's I mean to say that stage, identity versus all confusion, simply means that that's the time when an individual will think what will be their future like, what work will they do, what will be their occupation, how if they will gonna marry, what kind of family will he or she have, and also about the housing, will they be able to have their own house in future or not. So moving on to the sixth slide, which is intimacy versus isolation. That's the sixth stage when a person turns 19 and ends at 40 years. Humans evolve the capacity to show affection and good commitments. If people are able to make it through this stage, they're able to have close bonds with others. And if people are not able to form this type of bond with others, people they will feel isolated. Moving on to the other one, which is generality versus stagnation. 40 to 65 years, when individual acquire a desire to lead the upcoming generation by becoming parents. This stage involves mainly focuses on the career path, families, and housing. At that time, people will feel compelled to produce things that will outlast them. And the last stage is ego integrity versus despair, 65 to death. That's the stage when people accept who they are in life. If people at that age think that they had lived a very meaningful life, then they will experience ego integrity, which means if people at that stage will be like, if they had a very enjoyable life, if they think that they have done all the goods in the past in their life, so that's the time when they will feel ego integrity. And if individuals at that age might think that they did not have done good things in their life and their life isn't meaningful, so that's the time they will experience desire. So that's those are the eight stages of human 8 stages of psychological development. That's the seventh slide, and as you can see, these are the eight, one, two, three. This is the eight stages of psychological development. As you can see, it begins from infancy and it ends at late adulthood. Moving on to the next slide, which is eighth one. As you can see, we were supposed to relate it to the human development, like to our social cultural context, to this society where we belong to, or to the culture where we belong to. So human development in my own context, as I have given the picture of the definition of social cultural, now I'd like to uh, tell that how it is relatable to my own context. According to the contemporary theory which I have chosen from out of the four theories is on the Erik Erikson psychological theory. Growing up in a small family and as well as a multicultural country like Fiji where all different kind of people from different nation lives is much more interesting as we can learn different types of things from different people. My development started at home, staying with my parents and my siblings, learning things on how can I, learning all the practical things like singing, dancing, doing farming with my father, and cooking, and also doing some house chores, which made me a great person, I would say. My parents' main responsibility was to fulfill all my needs and wants at that time when I was a teenager. While going to school, teachers were there to guide us, and there was many students who had different skills. Some were good in writing, drawing, dancing, and even in being a confident person. Learning those skills made me more interesting as I was slowly growing up by seeing and learning different skills from different students and learning skills at home by parents and siblings. This had really made me a what because I can proudly say without knowing any of those things, I would not be a person. I would not be a tertiary person. I would not be attending any universities because those are the things which every student must learn from different stages of psychological development, which is being shown up there in the picture in slide 7. The next point it says that the 8 stages of Erickson's psychological development is similar to the socio-cultural context as the positive resolution of crisis which has been given is much more similar towards my cultural context as all the resolution crisis which begins from the bad till the death stages are being followed in my society and in my culture as well. According to the Erickson's 8 stages of development, in my own socio-cultural context, there are some times when individuals tend to act a bit different in the 8 stages of development, but overall, all individuals react the same way while they develop from the young age to adult. Moving on to the last slide, which is the 10th slide, uh, understanding human development. Understanding human development and lifespan is so vital as it helps every individuals to learn the skills they need to know in order to be a mature person in life as they grow up from a young age to an adult. Uh, by understanding human development, it also helps us to understand what is going around us, and also we can be aware of it. We can also learn the different stages of development. For example, if we become a parent and we will be able to know on how to look after our newborns, and we will know that what our child or children is being expecting at that different stage, and we'll be able to we will be able to know everything which they are being expecting at that stage, which they are going through at that stage, and we will be aware of it because we already know the 8 stages of psychological development. So in order to be a smart person, every individual's responsibility is to understand and know the meaning of human development and also the stages of psychological development as it shares so many things which is relevant to our life. So I'd like to I encourage all these students, all these children, all the people out there to know the 8 stages of psychological development, which is being stated by Eric Erikson, so that in order to be a smart and a well-educated person in life, we will be able to know that what all our child, if we will become a parent, what all will our child uh, go through when they'll be in this world, or what we had experienced when we were at that stage. And all over what is being said by Eric Erickson, I am so much agreeing with his information which has been given, and I'd like to encourage all the other students who's been listening, who gonna listen me, who's listening me out there. I would like to tell you that. To please go and do more research on Eric Erickson's contribution and the psychological theory which is being mentioned by him. And the last slide, which is slide 11, those are the references where I have taken the informations from. And lastly, I would like to thank you all for taking the time and listening to my video presentation. And also, I'd like to thank my lecturer, my tutor, Madam Calera. Thank you so much for your wonderful guide. Without your discussions and all, I would not be able to I would not be able to make it. So thank you everyone. Thank you, madam, and goodbye.